Trying to get this here thing set up. This holder sometimes don't work so good. Ah, there we go. Hope everybody's having a really great day. I know I am. Oh gosh, I've been sick for about a week with upper respiratory infection, sinusitis, and all that stuff. The weather was changing. You know how it goes. Every every year, probably millions and millions of people get it. Anyway, I'm going to talk about DNA testing. I think several people have emailed me. Some have talked to me on the streets and asked me what I know about DNA. Well, I know as much as anybody else, and I know a lot more than some people, and of course, there's other people that know more than me. Anyway, here's one thing that I want to say. I've looked at Scientific America. I've listened to people that use DNA in courts. I've, been to a laboratory. Good morning. Um, anyway, the long story short is based on my research, and of course they don't tell you this on the website so much, and you really got to dig to get it. Hey, give me a thumbs up. All right. Anyway, say if you got a DNA base and they got 10 people in it, okay, you're going to be measured against those 10 people only. If they got a million or 2 million or 5 million, you're going to be based in that area. They can't test you against uh, anybody else. They can only test you. I think the Ancestry DNA, I think they've got 5 million people in their base, and I think it's 23andMe that's got 2 or 3 million in theirs. Not sure. And then they work with DNA bases and laboratories around the world. So by some estimates, there's probably 10 million people plus or minus in the database around the world. Some people say it's more, I don't know. But there's lots of geographic areas that are not encompassed. So like some islands, some parts of Africa only have small amounts of DNA. China, uh, Russia, other places have, a limited database. Where over here it might be more expansive. Okay, the next thing you need to know is, hey, Clinton, is that if it says, for example, and people don't understand this, let's just say it says you're 50% Native American and 50% European. I'll just use that figure. Really, what that means is you're 5% Native American and you're 5% European. And the reason is there's a V, like this here. One side goes up your daddy's side of the line in a straight out line, and your mother's goes in a straight out line in the other. And I had to go to a police training. Hey, Rev. Uh, so, at any rate, if you're going out like this here, it's a V. So your mother's side's going out this way and your dad's out that, so it's just a line. All the 90% that's in the middle never gets tested because something in the chromosomes or the science says they can't do that. But they don't just put that out to the public. And when they look for traits and markers, I've been told the very best thing to do, if you can afford it, is at least 3, if not 5, different largest companies around, because one's better at this, one's better at that, and if you take 3 to 5 and you keep finding a lot of the same information across all of them, it has a greater chance of being 80% or better accurate. Now they claim 98% in some things, 95 in another, 95, 99 in another. Well, what if you're that 1, 3, or 5%? And then they also have had cases where they've had people that's come in or their samples that come in and it just can't be analyzed. And they don't give a reason why it can't be analyzed. And then sometimes they get false markers or other things. So DNA is, even though it's a science, it's not an exact science. It's it gives a lot of information, but it doesn't give everything sometimes people think it does, and then they get falsehood. So whatever your numbers are, deduct 90%, and then you come up. So I ain't never done one. It wasn't that big a thing to me. I might one day. Uh, Now there are some companies that do what they call a family uh, 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 that take your information if you want to be, and you're put on like a family tree, and you can get notifications that that there's a very good chance that you're related to these people, and that this might be an uncle or a fourth cousin or whatever. But on the other hand, if you're trying to get a true 100% reading on who you are, that's not going to happen. So when somebody says, "Hey, uh, uh, I'm 30% African," well, that really means you're 3%. And when they say I'm 50% European, you're 5%. So you got to do down the numbers. So you'll know 10%, and from that 10%, you can do some projections that's more likely this or that or the next thing. And in fact, a lot of Native American tribes have their own databases, so I'm told. I haven't been able to confirm that. And that if you want to enroll on the Indian rolls as a Native American, some of them say you got to be 1/5 or 3/4 or 25%, whatever. Well, you've got to go into their database, and when you go in their database, then that's going to be the most reliable. So let's just say if you thought you was Cherokee, well, if you go to the Cherokee Nation, then they'll tell you what DNA they would recognize, and if they have a database, or who they contract with for all their databases. So if you meet a certain number of markers that says this or that, then they recognize it, and then you become a part of the tribe. Other tribes say we don't rely on that. You gotta do your record checks and prove it to us and go through a vetting system. Or if you say I've got an ancestry birthright to some country or something, then that State Department has to be something that they recognize as good science. Uh, so the whole thing is I'm getting at is there's a lot of misconceptions about DNA and what it truly can do versus what it cannot do. And so I was trying to explain this rather than send emails back to numerous people and phone calls and uh, says I'm not accurate. Well, scientists that study this that I have talked to said I am. So I think I'm going to rely on the scientists I've talked to. Some of these people have been scientists for 40, 50 years, some 20 years from different parts of the country. So I'm going to go with them. Okay. If you have some award-winning scientists from around the world that you can point to that have the right credentials that can prove otherwise, I'm I'm uh, I'm ready to go ahead and look at that and compare that against what I have. But I'm satisfied with it, and it's going to give you a lot of information, no doubt. But having great faith that it's all in all, no, absolutely not. Now, you will find out information you'll find out lots of various things, but you're not maybe necessarily going to find out really accurate what you want to know. So, if you get one, I'm just saying, buyer beware. If you want to do it, you know the facts, and you know somebody that was able to find family members or other things on there, and you want to do the same thing, by all means, it's a free country. Go do it. I'm saying, but if you do, think about doing two or three from different countries. In fact, one of the investigators with Scientific America got multiple tests. One of them said he was supposed to have brown hair when he's a redhead and other characteristic traits. One of them said he had Alzheimer's or the gene for Alzheimer's. Another place said no, he did not have it. So, it's kind of like seeing a doctor or something else, getting two or three opinions, even on science. Go get additional opinions so that, you got something to compare it by. And here's what, like this laboratory over here uses this set of criteria in these protocols. So talk about procedures, process, protocols at this particular location. Then compare that against these. And try and get some that are diversified so that, it all kind of funnels down and you can do your process of elimination where it comes down to a smaller area so that you have your most accurate view and most likelihood. So, yeah, I'm not trying to discourage nobody to get one. Some people say that it turns out that they had a good one and that they found relatives. That's fantastic. Or they found that they had a brother or sister, or they thought somebody was their father and it was somebody else, yada, yada, yada. Or some woman raised them up and they found out that that wasn't their real mother. Yes, these things do happen. And yes, they do find out a lot of things. So I'm not saying that. Just be aware. And so maybe this will help other people to understand better about it. Read their fine print, their use, their terms, their service. And some of them may be 1 or 2 pages, some of them might be 8 or 10 pages. Take the time and read what they're saying. See what protocols and process that they use. What are they measuring you against, etc., etc., etc. So, like I say, they test for lots of different things. Some companies will say, well, we're just going to see who you're related to. And if you go and check or you call them on the phone, you'll find they work with 2 different continents. Someplace else might work with 5 different continents and more groups of people. You want the broadest base you can get with the most reliable company you can get, and get as close as you can get to that 2 or 3 times. And then you're going to get a lot more accurate view. Okay? So even between all of it, if you find out half, somewhere or another, if you can put it all together and figure out half of who you are, where you came from, if that's important to you, because you're a history buff or you want to know people you might be related to or you are, do it. I ain't telling nobody don't. It's just how it is. So it's just a little short message. Say hello. Thank y'all for praying for me. I've had upper respiratory infection for about a week. Sinusitis. I'm doing better, praise the Lord. And I'm just going to keep moving forward. Thank you, and God bless you, and have a great day.